Good morning, Spurs fans. Here we are in the woods, far northwest Sydney, I think, somewhere out and about. Hotspur Hippie here, the only psychedelic soccer show on the internet. I hope you're all well. Well, a bit of news. Ange Postecoglou, he's in the hunt for some awards, isn't he? He's been nominated for the Premier League Manager of the Month for, I suppose, August. Pull your finger out, Premier League. When do you announce the results? It's getting on for the end of September. If I was to take a punt on it, I would guess that he won't get it, merely for the fact, if they're smart, they'll know that if they give it to him this month, they'll just have to give it to him for every month for the rest of the time he's at Tottenham, because he's only getting better, man. He's just got his foot in the door. So he might well win it. It'd be a nice welcome to him. But I think the Premier League might as well keep their powder dry a little bit on that one, because otherwise they might paint themselves into a corner. Ange has also been nominated for FIFA Manager of the Year, which is quite amazing. And when I had a look at the list of the nominees, I thought, there's probably like 50 or something like that. There's only about 5 or 6, and one of them's Pep, of course. But I would give Ange a good shout for that, obviously, because I'm a one-eyed Spurs fan. But we can't forget the work he did. Nearly poked my ear out and my eye out at the same time there. We can't forget the work he did at Celtic. 3 trophies last season, and a good start with Spurs. I don't know how they measure this thing. I did see who was Manager of the Year last year, but I've forgotten who it was. I think it's some Italian dude. And so out of the list of the managers, I'm only really familiar with Xavi and Pep and Ange, and that's mighty fine company. And I think it'd be fitting if he got a gong like that, because he has been toiling away and he has been proving himself time and time again. It'll be really nice little icing on the cake for what's going to be a blistering season, which kicks off again in a couple of days against Sheffield United. I bet they're soiling themselves as we speak. They're probably fueling up the bus in the hope that it breaks down on the way to White Hart Lane. They might as well just forfeit the game. I think if you forfeit a game, it counts as 4-0, 3-0 or 4-0. So if I was Sheffield United, I'd just do that, save yourself a bit of humiliation, because it's going to be 6 or 7-0. I'm telling you, once we start battering teams, that isn't going to stop, because we never stop at Tottenham Hotspur. That's going to continue. Sheffield United have not had the best of starts. There's a bit of a payback required. I don't know if you could quite call it a payback. Revenge for last year's FA Cup defeat. I don't know about that. I think, though, we thoroughly deserve to go out. I don't think there's much revenge in the offing, but got to grab a headline somewhere. This will be a much different outfit than faced them in the Cup last year. I'm sure we'll be playing our first 11. Whether that will include Richarlison or not, who knows? But it's only two more sleeps away for me. The kickoff here in Sydney is at midnight Sunday night. Looking forward to that one. I was reading an article by Aleister Gold, him of the Concise Word, and I'm joking, I do like his work actually. He seems to be one of the more least obnoxious journalists, because I don't really have much time for journalists, but he seems to be, in the grand scheme of things, fairly okay. He's got a fine head of hair, something that I could do with. Don't know if the camera's picking it up, it's a bit thinning there. There's an article about how Ange is fostering youth development at Tottenham Hotspur. Now, even though I followed Ange's career for, I don't know, about 20 odd years, something like that, how he deals with the youth, I know he's got the reputation of dealing with the youth well, but that's not something I'm overly familiar with, because when I've followed Ange's teams, such as I suppose mainly Yokohama and Celtic would be the main ones I'd consider here. I don't know too much about Brisbane Roar in general, but when I just watch those games, I would just be looking at the players. It wouldn't occur to me whether they were young or old. anything like that. I don't know if they were bought in. Well, maybe at Celtic I knew that a lot were bought in, but I didn't know like a Yokohama where they were fostered through. Now, Ange's got a different story at a different story. I just had to clear my throat, and you don't want that on the internet. His circumstances are different. Whoops. Different at Tottenham than they were at Celtic. Now, at Celtic, his contract was a 1 year rolling contract. So at the end of every year, it'd be up for grabs and redone again. Now, I think, if memory serves, that's the way Celtic like to do things. I can't be 100% on that. So I can't recall that there were many youth team players coming in at Celtic. But the story is very different at Tottenham. With a 4-year contract, he's got a bit of time up his sleeve. And if you're looking at a big picture over 4 years, then you've got time to look at some of these academy players, bring them through. It'll save you a bob or two, and they've got the club in their blood, haven't they? The article mentioned several names. The main ones that always pop into my head are always Dorrington, I think he's 18 or 19, and Mikey Moore, who's like very young. But I'll tell you what, it might only be 2 years before someone like Mikey Moore comes into the team. And the way Ange is approaching the academy players, it sounds quite refreshing. I had inklings that this was happening already, but he's getting them more to play his style of football. So all of our teams are playing what people are calling Ange ball. I just call it football, proper football, so that there isn't much of a shift, or they don't have to acclimatise too much to a different way of playing football when they move up. Dorrington has already been training properly with the first team, which is fantastic. And the article also went into some of the reasons why our under 23s had such a dismal season last year. One is we did have injuries. Every team has injuries, let's face it. The other thing, I didn't know this, and I was this perplexed me somewhat, is that Antonio Conte apparently would regularly, on the eve of a first team game, would call in academy players to act as nothing more than glorified traffic cones. And so that isn't going to persuade any of the kids to stay. I mean, a few left, although we got rid of a few as well. Maybe they weren't ready. Ange's philosophy on this, as Aleister Gold. Aleister Gold's been a good boy and read Ange's book. I haven't even read that. But Ange makes a good point about youth players. I mean, there's the old adage, if they're good enough, they're old enough. But Ange is never frightened to throw young players into a team if he thinks they're ready, because his thinking is, if they're not up to scratch, they're going to get found out quickly split, and you're not going to waste any more time on them. But if you do get them right and they are ready, then you've got something great for the future that can grow. So all these little bits of news make me very excited. This is so different to having these win now managers that at best would have got us a Carabao Cup maybe. We haven't got it this year. Everyone's still going on about it. I'm fed up with it, to be honest. It's the Carabao Cup. Ange is here for the long haul, and I think we're going to be winning a lot more than just that in years to come. But it's refreshing, isn't it? Because it sounds like Antonio Conte, these academy players, they were treated. Like, I like the old system back in the day, where kids would come in on a youth training scheme, YTS scheme, be proper apprentice. So that would involve them cleaning boots, cleaning the stand, doing all the mundane sort of stuff, and it would get into their heads and their hearts that they wanted to be the guy that had their boots clean someday. They would learn respect for the senior players. So when you're kind of treated like that, not quite a dog's body, but a dog's body, cleaning the showers, that sort of thing, that's one way of doing it. Bringing them, training them side by side with the main boys, that's another way of doing it. But then the Antonio Conte halfway house, you're not gaining respect for senior players, and you're not gaining any motivation if you're, as I said, glorified traffic cones. So it looks like Ange is having an effect on the academy already. We did see during the summer quite a few young players being signed and some being let go, and I'm wondering if Ange's influence, the difference in him being at the club and being more involved with these players as players and not just filler. You know, people have meetings, they'll bring people in that don't do anything. It's just to make the room look full. The academy players are more than filler. So the future's looking good at Tottenham, and this is why I think Ange deserves Premier FIFA Manager of the Year, because he doesn't do it on $200-300 million. He does it through his own skill and his own eye for a player. He doesn't have to rely on looking at a spreadsheet of stats which are never reliable. No one can ever persuade me that statistics in football mean anything at all. He uses his own judgment, and that's got him a lot of success, and hopefully it's going to get us some success in the future. You know, we've got a few games now which will tell us where we are, you know, just to see. Maybe it was a bit of a being devil's advocate, maybe a new manager bounce for the first few games, or the excitement of a new season. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we're going to see, you know, where the lads are up to. I'm really excited about Sheffield United, Arsenal away, and Liverpool at home. Good benchmark games, and I've got every confidence that we're going to do well. Might have a blip here and there, but I can't see it, can't feel it here. So until next time, folks, peace and love, man, and come on you Spurs.